Hello and welcome to the My Country Europe News Roundup, a weekly newscast that covers the most important stories of the past week, as researched by our Telegram team. My name is Jason Kyriakos, and I'll be your host today. Thank you for tuning in. Let's get on with the news. The presidents of Italy and Montenegro have ceremonially turned on an undersea power cable connecting the two countries via the Adriatic Sea. 423 kilometers along the Adriatic seabed and more than 1,000 meters deep, the cable represents a new transit route for energy connecting the electricity systems of Italy, Montenegro, Serbia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and Romania. At the activation ceremony, Montenegrin President Milo Djukanovic said that this project represents not only a solid energy connection between Montenegro and Italy, but a model of further integration of the European continent. Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko threatened not to sign an integration deal with Russia later this year if Moscow fails to resolve oil and gas issues. Belarus is due to sign a roadmap with Russia in December in order to bring the two countries closer together through economic and institutional mergers. Russia has provided energy subsidies and loans to Belarus to keep Minsk in its political orbit, but now plans to phase these out to lessen the burden on its economy. This has led to worsened relations between the two traditional allies, at the same time as Lukashenko has been making efforts of strengthening ties with the West. Also concerning Belarus, President Lukashenko has maintained his hold on power after not one opposition candidate was elected in yesterday's parliamentary elections. Two opposition candidates were elected in 2016 for the first time in 20 years, but this time around Lukashenko banned them from standing. He insists that the election is not fraudulent and that voters could get him out of power if they wanted to. I have promised that I would not hang on to this seat until my fingers turn blue. Trust me, it's not really the softest chair, he said. The European Parliament has greenlit Hungarian diplomat Várhelyi as the EU's new Commissioner for Neighbourhood and Enlargement. Hungary's previous candidate was rejected due to conflicts of interests, and many questioned the wisdom of assigning this portfolio to Budapest. President von der Leyen's complete lineup needs approval still by the EU Parliament, likely during the plenary session on November 27. EU governments and the European Parliament reached a last-minute agreement on a crucial 2020 budget, boosting spending on fighting climate change. The EU has committed to spend 168.7 billion euros, of which 21% will go to climate. There is also an increase in total payments that amount to 153.6 billion euros, up 3.4% from 2019. Back to Bosnia, where a Serb economist, Zoran Tageltija, has been named prime minister after a compromise between its Serb, Croat and Muslim co-presidents, ending a 13-month deadlock since the elections. The issue of contention was NATO. While the Croat and Bosniak Muslim leaders favor membership, its Serb community has close ties with Russia and opposes joining. The newfound solution could pave the way for Bosnia to move forward with the EU accession negotiations and IMF deals for funding. Malta's police have arrested one of the country's most prominent businessmen as the possible middleman behind the murder of journalist Daphne Galizia. Galizia, an anti-corruption journalist, was killed by a car bomb near the Maltese capital Valletta in October 2017, raising concerns about the rule of law in the Mediterranean island. Jorgen Fenech, the businessman in question, was detained before dawn while trying to flee aboard his personal yacht. This came after the Prime Minister of Malta, Joseph Muscat, offered to pardon a potential middleman, provided that they disclosed information concerning the perpetrator behind the murder. Outgoing EU Council President Tusk has been elected president of the EPP. He ran unopposed for party leadership. The EPP hosts parties around the center-right and conservative circles, such as Angela Merkel's Christian Democratic Union of Germany or Kyriakos Mitsotakis' New Democracy. Tusk will need to decide whether to allow Hungary's ruling party Fidesz back into the EPP. In his first speech, he has indicated opposition to the idea. Russia's lower house has passed a law that will allow individual journalists to be labeled as foreign agents, a move that critics say will tighten curbs on the media. If approved by Putin and the upper house, all material made by an individual who receives money from abroad will be labeled as having been distributed by a foreign agent. Human Rights Watch has commented that the draft legislation is a further step to restrict free and independent media. Finally, the UK has been labelled an illegal colonial occupier by Mauritius after it failed to return control of Chagos. The Chagos archipelago was given to the UK in exchange for Mauritius's independence in 1965. London had agreed to a UN deadline to grant the Chagos archipelago reunification with the Mauritius, after 43 years of national division. This has been your weekly news roundup. Thank you for tuning in, and we hope to see you next week.